Hello and welcome to this episode of Tragic Turns, the series where we discuss real-life tragedies and the lessons they leave behind. My name is Gypsy Kim, and today we're exploring the heartbreaking story of Daniela Larreal Chirinos, a talented athlete and a hotel employee who sadly passed away due to a preventable accident. Join us as we unpack the details and discuss what all of us can do to prevent something like this from happening. Daniela Larreal Chirinos was a young woman with promise, an accomplished athlete, and had built a life for herself in Las Vegas, Nevada, where she worked at a hotel. On the surface, she seemed to have it all together, but on August 11th of 2024, a tragic accident claimed her life, leaving her family, her friends, and colleagues in complete shock. Let's begin by talking a little bit more about Daniela's past. Daniela was born on October 2nd, 1973 in Maracaibo, Zulia, Venezuela. She was the daughter of Daniel Larreal, a celebrated cyclist who secured a silver medal in the sprint at the 1971 Pan American Games. Growing up in a family that valued athleticism, Daniela was naturally inclined towards sports from a young age. Her athletic journey began while swimming, where she excelled as a junior freestyle champion in Venezuela, scooping up titles in both the 50-meter and 100-meter events by the age of only 13. Despite her prowess in the pool, Daniela's father introduced her to cycling, a sport that would become her lifelong passion. By 8 years old, she was already showcasing her speed on the velodrome track, and by 1986, she was representing the Capital District in the youth Vuelta de Lara. In 1989, she committed to track cycling, setting the stage for a remarkable career. Daniela's dedication and talent propelled her to become one of Venezuela's most esteemed athletes. She represented her country in 5 Olympic Games, setting an Olympic record in the women's track time trial in 2000. Throughout her career, she amassed over 35 international medals, with 24 years separating her first and the last podium finishes, underscoring her enduring excellence in the sport. Beyond her athletic achievements, Daniela was known for her vibrant personality and unwavering determination. She pursued higher education alongside her sports career, earning a degree in physical education in Venezuela and later undertaking equivalent studies in the United States. Her commitment to personal growth and education reflected her belief in the importance of perseverance and discipline. In the later years of her life, Daniela became an outspoken critic of corruption within Venezuelan sporting bodies and the broader political landscape under President Nicolás Maduro. Her activism led to her exile in the United States, where she continued to advocate for change and joined the Venezuelan political opposition. Born and raised with a love for sports, she was known for her athleticism and her strong, determined spirit. Her life's journey brought her to Las Vegas, where she not only worked at a hotel, but also served as an inspiration to those around her. A hard worker, a friend, a passionate individual, Daniela's life was cut short in a way that nobody could have predicted. On August 11th, 2024, Daniela was scheduled to work at the hotel where she was employed in Las Vegas, Nevada as a food server. Reports state that she was last seen on this date, which likely means she interacted with somebody earlier in the day, maybe a neighbor, a coworker, somebody she spoke to before her tragic death. We don't know exactly who the person was. On August 12th of 2024, Daniela was scheduled to work, but she didn't show up, prompting concern among her colleagues. So she already didn't come into work the day before, but I think her colleagues weren't really concerned because it was just, any random day people can miss, even though it was probably a no-call, no-show. But things like that happen. You don't automatically think, my coworker is in trouble when things like that happen. But then the next day, on the 12th, when she's not at work again, now people are starting to be a little bit suspicious as to if she's okay. By August 15th of 2024, after not hearing from Daniela in several days, one of her friends requested a welfare check. Police then end up going to her apartment where they find her unresponsive. So based on physiological evidence, the condition of her body, environmental factors, the police determined that her date of death was actually on August 11th, that first day that she missed of work. Authorities determined that she passed away due to asphyxiation from choking on food. Yeah, you heard me right. Choking on food. So I'm guessing this probably happened later on in the day, like after she saw whoever had last seen her, sometime in the evening. Obviously, Daniela had been alone at the time. It's very likely that she was unable to call for help or dislodge the obstruction on her own. Now, for those of you who are a little unfamiliar with the term asphyxiation, this occurs when your airway is blocked, preventing oxygen from reaching the lungs and the brain. In Daniela's case, it was solid food that was trapped in her trachea. Choking is a leading cause of accidental death, which I did not know, especially in adults who are eating alone and there's nobody there to assist in time. For me, this is kind of terrifying because when I was a kid, like a teenager, I would have these very intrusive thoughts where I would like picture my favorite uncle, Uncle Benny, R.I.P., driving home from his job, stopping for some food in a drive-thru. Like, he lived in Virginia, but he had to drive home from Washington, D.C. I would picture him stopping to get food, eating the food in his car. I don't know why it was specifically fried chicken. And I would just picture him like coming to like a stop really like suddenly because he's braking behind someone in front of him in the traffic. Don't ask me why. This is my teenage brain just like going haywire. I don't know, like he's driving, he's eating chicken, and then as he makes this quick break, I would see the chicken bone getting stuck in his throat and him like panicking because he couldn't breathe and he's literally choking on chicken. Then my mind would just play out this whole scenario so detailed. He can't get help, he can't talk, he can't call 911 because he can't say anything. He just ends up choking to death in the car. This dark daydream would be so intense, so vivid that in real life, as I'm thinking about it, I would just start bursting out in tears and crying. I would have a whole panic attack and just freaking out because now I'm like, oh my gosh, is my uncle having an actual choking moment in his car on his way from work and I'm like having a premonition right now? Oh my gosh. I was freaking out. And I remember calling him on his cell phone and being like, are you alive? Are you okay? Are you eating chicken? He was like, what are you talking about? I know he thought I was nuts. He was like, bro, I'm not eating chicken. What are you talking about? And I'm like telling him, oh my God, don't ever get chicken while you're driving in that car because I don't want you to choke to death. And he'd be like, huh? I don't even think he knew how to respond. I think I was a little bit traumatized at that stage because I actually had a dream that my father died like a couple of times when I was a little girl, and then he did actually end up dying when I was 8 years old, and he was only 36. And I remember telling my dad, like waking up crying, telling my dad about these dreams, and he just brushed them off like, it's fine, it's not a big deal, it's just a nightmare, I'm not going anywhere. And then fast forward, he actually died a very young man. And just the other day, I had a dream that my son came home with a big check. I couldn't see how much it was for, but I could just see the 2 zeros. I mean, like literally, you know, those big oversized checks that they give you on game shows. I saw him running towards the house with one of those and I couldn't see all the numbers. And I was like, how much is this check for? You know, and then I woke up before I could see it. When I told my son about it that morning, he was like, oh, I have a $200 bonus coming in a couple of weeks. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. So when I thought about my uncle dying from choking on a chicken bone, like for me, that wasn't really that far-fetched. So he didn't die on the chicken bone, you guys, if you're wondering, but he did actually end up dying fairly young. Like, I don't know, maybe in the next 10 years after I had that dream, my uncle died, and he wasn't really old. He just suddenly had cancer, and then that was the end of it. So for me, like, I'm triggered hearing this story about Daniela choking on food and literally dying, because I'm like, bro, that's like straight up one of my nightmares come to life. What the heezy? Okay, focus, people. After a thorough investigation, authorities confirmed that Daniela's death was accidental. There were no signs of foul play. And of course, the loss of Daniela was deeply felt by her family, her friends, her colleagues. People who knew her remember her as a vibrant, determined individual who brought positivity to every room she entered. What can the rest of us learn from Daniela's story? Nothing. That's it. That's the end of the video. Bye. Psych. The most critical takeaway in this circumstance is the importance of knowing basic first aid techniques, especially the Heimlich maneuver. Did you know you can perform it on yourself? If you're alone and you begin to choke, knowing this maneuver could be what saves your life. So here's how you do it. First, you make a fist and place it above your belly button. Pretend this is my belly button. I'm too lazy to stand up. Grab your fist with your other hand. You thrust it inward and upward. So you're gonna like push in and up at the same time, but obviously on your belly button, not up here. And you do this repeatedly until the obstruction comes out. It's also just a good idea to be mindful when you're eating alone. Chew your food thoroughly and avoid laughing and talking while you're eating your food to reduce the risk of choking. This story about Daniela really is a very tragic reminder of how quickly life can change. While we can't change the past, we can honor her memory by learning from what happened and taking the proper steps to protect ourselves and the people around us. Basic knowledge of first aid can really make the difference between life and death, like literally. I encourage you to take a first aid course if you haven't already done that. It's a small investment that could save a life. Better yet, I bet you that there are YouTube tutorials right here that you can watch in your given language to show you how to perform the Heimlich maneuver on yourself and on others, especially if you have children, small kids around you. It's always a good idea to know these things and to never have to use it than to need to use this and not know it. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Tragic Turns and listening to this story. If it moved you in any way or taught you something valuable, I really hope that you will consider sharing this story with others and also liking, commenting, and of course subscribing. Whenever you interact with a channel that's small like mine, it just lets YouTube know that there's something relevant over here, and it helps to push the videos out to other people who might not know that I exist. So it costs you nothing, but it's very valuable for me. So thank you so much for those of you who are already doing that. And don't forget to share your thoughts about the situation in the comment section. Let's discuss how we can all do our part to be a little bit safer and more prepared for life's unexpected challenges. I'm Gypsy Kim. I'm gonna be back soon to share more dark stories about real people so that we can learn from their mistakes and keep ourselves safe. If you have any suggestions for cases you want me to go over, criminal cases that you want me to talk about, topics you would like for me to cover, make sure that you leave that in the comment section. I read all of my comments. Until we meet again in the next episode, don't choke on chicken bones. Ciao.